How's it going, ladies and persons? I'm Bobby Sixkilla. Welcome back to Route Double. We have finished exploring upstairs all around the factory. Now we're heading back to the factory to check it out, because I believe it is the last room in the entire place, apart from Area N, of course, where Natsuhiko and the others might be. So we're really banking on that being the place that we find him, because that's also got the secret exit out of here. Fingers crossed. It's not going to work. You know it's not going to work, because that would be too easy. I need to find the others running towards them. Captain, did something happen? We heard this strange thump. Oh, it was no big deal, just a connecting passageway collapsing, that's all. Anyways, did you guys find the survivors? Unfortunately, no. We made sure to leave no stone unturned, but we found not even a trace of the survivors. Did you find anyone in the inner ring? No, no one on our end either. The group had already finished exploring all the areas in Labo, but they hadn't found the survivors anywhere, not even any bodies of them. Then I guess there's no doubt about it. Huh? They already escaped through the cargo lift. Oh yeah, of course, that makes total sense. Kazam and the others looked confused at Watase's proclamation. Cargo lift? What do you mean? It looks like there's a lift in the factory we can use to escape to the surface. Here, take a look at this. Watase said this and showed the disaster prevention manual we'd found earlier to the others. I see, I never knew we had something like that. Yes, it's possible to get out this way. Right, so did any of you guys find anything that looked like a lift in the factory? No, we did not, but that's perhaps what that was? Kazami turned around and looked at the corner of the factory. She was staring at the furthest wall from them, where for some reason a security gate stood. What's the security gate doing in a random place like that? We found it strange as well. It didn't seem to fit with everything else, so we investigated it, but we couldn't get in because the security slot was burned in the fire, so we gave up on searching it. Past that gate is the only part of the factory we haven't searched yet. If there really is a cargo lift, then it must be there. The whole group was all smiles. They only had 6 AD, but if they managed to escape, they wouldn't need them anymore. Their journey full of hardships was finally coming to an end. Alright, then let's find a way to open that gate. Can we use the air ducts to get over it like the other time? Unfortunately, the ceiling is too high up, so we don't have any way to get in there. Then what if we use the engine cutter to break down the gate? That should work. We already tried that. We went back to the makeshift base and got it. And seeing as the cutter failed to even make a dent in it, the gate must be quite sturdy. Great. Just great. How can we open it? Watase looked at Yuri. Damn it, the exit's right in front of us. We have to get that gate open no matter what it takes, so that we can save Yuri. But just as Watase thought this, he and everyone else suddenly heard a strange noise. Watase instantly felt a shock run through his spine. Several large objects were falling from up above. Taken aback by this, he looked up to see the ceiling breaking apart. Guys, get out of here! The ceiling started to collapse at the same time he shouted that. Ina and Ukita screamed. Debris, pebbles, scraps of iron, steel frames and iron plates come falling down, one after another. Yuri tripped and fell on her backside. It was at that moment that a remarkably huge ceiling panel, right about 5 square meters big, fell straight towards her. Yuri? Watase darted for Yuri and shielded her with his body. A moment later, an impact ran through Watase's back. He'd intercepted the falling ceiling panel with his back. The panel itself was only about 20 kilos, not that heavy, yeah, but it fell from a long way. With Yuri lying under him, Watase got on all fours and tried to push the panel up and off him with his back. I need to get this off me quickly. But even more debris came falling down at that moment. His back was assaulted with impacts that passed through the panel. The panel's weight suddenly increased tenfold at the same time with great force. Watase tried to break away from it, but his body wouldn't respond. Shit. He had no way to estimate how much debris had piled up. The debris piled up on his back weighed 150 kilos, 200 kilos? Whatever it was so heavy that it felt like his arms and legs were going to break right there and then. But he locked eyes with Yuri just at that moment. Watase's face was reflected in those eyes, shrouded with fear and despair. I have to hang in there or Yuri will be crushed with me. Watase filled his arms and legs with strength, supporting the weight of the debris. All he could think about was protecting Yuri. The sound of the ceiling caving in soon stopped, leaving Watase and Yuri trapped under a mountain of debris. Captain Kasasagi? Yuri looked up at him with wide eyes. Just then something leaked down onto her dusty cheeks. It was Watase's blood. Did I hit the back of my head too much? I think any amount of hitting the back of your head is too much. Watase ignored the pain and spoke. Don't worry, Yuri, I'll save you. You can bet on that. Okay, but more importantly, Captain Kasasagi, you're... Oh, it's just a scratch. Watase said that and gave her an awkward smile. But you're bleeding. Yuri looked like she was about to burst into tears. They then heard the voices of the others who'd managed to escape the rain of debris in time. Captain? Miss Yuri? Where are you? Answer us. Oh no, don't tell me they're under that rubble. Are you still alive? Yuri then started screaming as loud as she could, so the others would hear. We're right here. Please hurry and get the rubble off. If you don't, Captain Kasasagi will... But how? The gears in Watase's mind started turning. It would probably be very difficult to get rid of the debris with human hands. And the fact that his stamina would eventually run out meant that he had to act fast. Come on, think, I should be able to come up with something. What's the best way to make sure that Yuri survives? Watase then allowed himself to be guided by his instincts and began shouting to those outside with the debris. Moribei, get the air jack from the makeshift base. Stat. It's kinda far from here. No, it isn't. It shouldn't take that long if you go through Area 1 to get there. Tachibana, Teach, old man, get as much debris off me as you can. Understood. There's no time, I'm counting on you guys. Roger, I'll be back in 2 minutes tops, so hang in there, Captain. Miss Tsukita? Miss Tsubakiyama? Let's help too. Right. What should we do? Start moving the debris off. John left the factory as Kazami, Ina, and Ukita started removing the debris. But a minute later, Watase's arms started shaking rapidly. The weight drilling into his back relentlessly tortured his body. His spread elbows creaked, feeling like they'd snap like twigs at any second. Moribei, please hurry up. Yuri's face scrunched up with bitterness, as if she could tell what Watase was feeling. I'm so sorry, it's all my fault that you got trapped here too. You dummy, don't apologize for nothing. Okay. But why? Why are you going this far to save my life? Even he didn't know why. He could say it was because of the voice in his head, but that didn't feel true. So he just answered with the role he'd been given. Isn't it obvious? It's because I'm a rescue squad captain. No way. Then why is it then back then... Before Yuri could finish his sentence, Jun's shouts cut in. Sorry to keep you all waiting. What's the situation? Pretty bad, to be honest. Hurry up. Understood. Moribei, get the air jack ready. ASAP. It's on standby now. Your orders? First, cut along this line from here to there with the engine cutter. Put the air jack in the newly created hole after that. Then lift the debris up and get those two out of there. Roger. Mr. Tsubakiyama, Mr. Ukita, get back now. Now commencing cutting procedure. The two rescue workers then began removing the debris. Oh, god damn it. But the strength of Watase's arms was fading quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if the weight of the debris won out any second now. Watase looked into Yuri's eyes and spoke. Hey Yuri, could I ask you to do me a favor? A favor? Please tell me to hang in there. Huh? Please? Captain Kasasagi, please hang in there. Upon hearing those words, Watase felt his body become filled with renewed strength. Alright. He mustered every ounce of strength he had and pushed up the debris. At the exact moment, part of the debris was removed, and a light shone in on Yuri's face. It was then that Jun inserted the air jack into that opening. Air jack now set in place. Everyone, please give us a hand so that the debris doesn't collapse while the air jack is inflating. Leave it to me. Alright. Then I'll keep this part held up. Okay, inflating air jack now. The debris was then lifted up into the air. Captain, Miss Yuri, hurry! Watase and Yuri obeyed Kazami's orders and slipped out of the debris. Watase flopped onto the floor as soon as he escaped the pile of debris. All of his bones were creaking and his muscles were shaking like crazy. Alright, are the others okay? Watase looked around him, setting his eyes on Kazami first. And a second later she... Captain, Miss Yuri, thank God you're alright. Ran up to Watase and Yuri as she said that, then embraced the two of them. Whoa. Ah. Kazami paid no heed to their surprise and started talking in a tear-choked voice. You really had me worried there. It felt like my heart was about to stop at any second. It's okay. Yuri and I are fine, but... it's a bit hard to breathe. Kazami's arms of steel felt like they were crushing Watase and Yuri's throats. Huh? Oh, my apologies. She frantically loosened her grip when she realized this, however... hey, Miss Tachibana? Why aren't you letting go? It's okay if we stay like this for a little while longer, isn't it? What just happened was incredibly dangerous, so please just let me express my thanks for you having survived. After all, I don't want to imagine what would have happened if we'd made even the slightest mistake just now. Kazami said that and gave Watase and Yuri a nice pat on the back, upon which Yuri began to tremble as the reality of what they'd just been through only now finally hit her. It really was scary, wasn't it? Yes. You held up so good back there without even crying, you know that, but you're safe now. Kazami said that and gently stroked Yuri's hair. The warmth from Kazami's arms flowed into Watase. He also felt Yuri's heat flood into him from their shoulders that were now connected from the hug they were locked in. It was then that Watase felt himself fully reconnect with reality again. That's right, we survived. We made it out of there with our lives. There was a path to survival, even in such a desperate crisis like that. And the one who carved that path open for them was their most reliable comrade, Kazami. Watase gently hugged her back. Yuri's arms soon overlapped with Watase's. The three of them just stood there in the embrace for a while, not saying a word. Eventually Jun cut up the atmosphere with a teasing voice. Wow, it really is good to be the captain, huh? I mean, you get free hugs from Lieutenant Stoneface and everything. The three of them turned around in surprise to see the rest of the group grinning at them. I must admit I'm a tad jealous. He must be feeling really, really nice right about now. Well, I'd say it was well deserved. It's thanks to him that Miss Yuri is alive. Watase shook his head at that comment. No, I couldn't have done anything on my own. It was thanks to everybody's teamwork that we were able to save Yuri. Everyone smiled embarrassingly when Watase said that. By the way, the back of your head is bleeding. Are you okay? Oh yeah, now that you mention it, I am bleeding, huh? Come on, turn around. I'll apply some Chiron to it. Anna took out the medical ointment they found earlier, but then Yuri timidly spoke up. Would you please let me do it? It's my fault he got hurt, so... okay. We'll let Miss Yuri handle this. That sound good, Captain Kasasagi? Yeah, I'll be counting on you, Yuri. Yes. Yuri took the Chiron from Enna and walked around to Watase's backside. She applied the ointment to her fingertips and rubbed them against the wound on the back of Watase's head. You could feel the gentle movements of her fingers. Before long, Yuri spoke up in surprise. Huh? What is it? I just noticed something. You have a single streak of white hair. Oh, really? I can't see my own head. I wouldn't know. It's true. It's like a Kasasagi feather. A Kasasagi? It's the name of a kind of magpie. It's a very smart bird that has a single white feather. Huh. And maybe that's where my surname Kasasagi came from. Enna interjected at Watase's light joke. Of course not. Did you also lose your common sense with your memories? Oh, come on, teacher. I was just joking. Trying to cheer up Yuri. Oh, really? You know, you may be rather tough and manly, but your sense of humor sucks to high heaven. Damn, you're as harsh as always. Yuri let out an amused laugh at that conversation. Watase and Enna also smiled when they heard her laugh. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've ever heard Yuri laugh. Hanging in there really did pay off. Yuri finished applying the ointment to Watase, then addressed everyone in the room. Captain Kasasagi, everyone, thank you so much for saving my life. No thanks needed. What matters most of all is that you're safe. She's right. If something happened to one of our survivors after all we've been through, we'd lose the right to call ourselves a rescue squad. Got that right, but man, I never thought the ceiling would just cave in like that. Watase sighed in exasperation and looked at the collapsed ceiling. It was at that moment he spotted something. No, more like his attention was drawn by it. Is something wrong, Captain? Don't tell me crap's gonna fall again. No, that's not it. I just thought of a way to open the gate. Wait, seriously? The crane? You should be able to use that and we'll be clear. Watase was pointing at a crane hanging down from the ceiling. If we could put a notch in the gate with the engine cutter and then hook it to the crane and have it force the gate open. Sounds like it's worth a shot. But is that crane actually working? Hold on a minute, I'll look into it. Yukita ran alongside the wall and then started operating a controller sitting there. Yes, it moved, we can use it. Now let's get to work. Stat. Yeah, we've already got the engine cutter here and everything, so this is perfect timing. The group all nodded at each other, then headed over to the gate that was barring their way. Alrighty, then I'll try to make an incision into the gate. Back up, guys. Jin started up the engine cutter, then ran its spinning blade into the gate. A flurry of sparks bathed their body. Little son of a bitch. Here we are. It's hurrah! Ooh, Captain. How's this look? Watase studied the gate to see that there was now indeed a small notch etched into the spot where Jun had cut it. Good job. Now all that's left is to hook the crane onto this thing. Old man, you're up. Roger. Yukita nodded and started operating the crane again. All clear, all clear, all clear. Okay, stop. Kazami hooked the crane's hook onto the recently carved notch. Everyone fall back just to be safe. Yeah, if the ceiling fell down with nothing, then ripping a massive gate out could cause the rest to come down. Watase waited until everyone had complied, then gave Yukita a hand signal. Yukita nodded again, then pressed a switch on the controller. The crane's chain rewound up to the ceiling, causing the hook to pull tight against the gate as it did. Watase prayed as he observed the scene play out before him. Please work. Just then the gate started creaking in the blink of an eye. The notch then widened even further, and opened up to create an opening large enough for people to walk through it. Alright, it went off without a hitch. We did it. We did it, we did it, we did it. The opening was big enough for even one of Watase's stature to fit through. They could vaguely see what appeared to be the lift's control panel through the darkness. Thank goodness. See, now we can rest easy. It would appear that all went well, correct? Yes, I apologize for forcing a civilian like you to assist us with this task. No, it's no problem at all. I'll do anything if it means getting out of here. Everyone's faces had brightened now that they could get through the gate that had been causing them so much grief. Watase also found himself spontaneously break out into a smile. Thank God, now we've finally secured an escape route. It was true that they hadn't found all the survivors yet, but now they could at the very least get Yuri, Ena, and Ukita out of there. Plus, that would mean they no longer had any problems with AD, and could also get backup from the rescue workers on the surface. Watase breathed a sigh of relief, looked at his comrades' faces, and then smiled at Yuri. Yuri, you've done so well to make it this far. Huh? You don't have to worry about a thing anymore. You can rest as long as you want, once you're outside. Yes. Captain Kasasagi, thank you for everything you've done so far. Don't be. Then I guess this is goodbye for good, isn't it? Watase gave a wry smile and patted Yuri on the head. He then looked at the others. They were all covered in soot and dust, but they're all still smiling. It was thanks to all of them they were able to make it this far without losing a single life. There'd been many a time when they'd almost given up, but they lost heart not even once. No matter how seemingly hopeless the situation, humans have the will to never give up and to keep moving forward, huh? It was the will to live that had welled up from the deepest part of their hearts. It felt like the sole light of hope that had shined through their despair. Hope isn't something as simple as an escape route, or AD. Hope is the fact that all of us are comrades who fought to support each other through thick and thin. Watase's heart warmed at that thought. He held back his surge of emotions and spoke up. Okay then, let's get out of here. And then I'll go in first to make sure it's safe. We're counting on you. Yep, just leave it to me. Jin went through the opening in high spirits, as the others saw her off. However, not even a second later... Oh no. Jin's scream pierced through the darkness on the other side. Mortabe, what's the matter? The rest of the group gulped and went through the opening. Oh, there's got to be corpses in there, right? The room they entered was about 9 square meters in size. There was a cargo lift with supplies big enough for people to fit on, lying on the other side of the room, just as Emmanuel had said. Jin was standing in front of it, frozen like a statue. Mortabe, what's wrong? Not another one. Jin pointed to the side of the lift as she said in a trembling voice. Well? Watase was rendered speechless at that sight. I knew it was going to have to be a corpse. Lying there was a body of a girl. Who is this girl? Is she Mashiro Topa? No. But Ena, her face is white as a sheet, answered quickly in a low voice. No, she isn't. What? Then who is she? Everyone just stared at the body of this girl who no one knew, and who'd never even come up once until this point. It looks like she's been shot as well. A hole had been pierced through her stomach. A gunshot wound. The blood that poured out of it had already dried up into a dark colour. She had undoubtedly been murdered. But when that happened was something no one knew. And the bigger question was, who the fuck is she? Why did someone kill this girl? The girl's face was completely expressionless. There wasn't a hint of fear or pain to be seen. She just stared at the floor with hollow eyes. Everyone was utterly dumbstruck. The room was now as silent as a tomb. It wasn't long before Ukita let out another surprised gasp. He slowly staggered over to the panel. The lift's control panel was lying next to the girl. It had been completely destroyed, as if someone had intentionally broken it. Yukita silently tried to work it, but nothing happened after even pressed the switch. The lift didn't make a sound. Yukita then hit the panel with what seemed like resignation, then shook his head. A still air filled the room yet again. Why? It was Yuri who broke up the silence. Why did all this have to happen? Her voice, brimming with bewilderment and despair, echoed through the confined room. No one could answer her. Everyone just stood absolutely still, overcome with shock. Of course, it wasn't going to be that easy, right? The group had been guided by hope up until now. They had faith that there must be an escape route somewhere. The survivors must still live, awaiting rescue somewhere. And the cargo lift they'd found at the end of the search would have been their only escape route. But it had already been destroyed. There had never been any hope to begin with. Instead, all they'd found there was the unidentified body of a girl. The group was frozen in total shock. Everyone had been struck speechless by this unforeseen turn of events. Soon enough, Kazami... I'll run a vitals check on her. Ran over to the girl with that declaration. She took off her vital checker and put it around the girl's wrist. All 5 lights shone a bright red. Status all red. She opened the girl's eyelids wider and checked her pupils. Her pupils have dilated. Kazami laid the girl down and spoke. Mortabe, help me out. I'm gonna perform CPR. Right. Jin hurriedly sat down next to the girl. Kazami performed cardiac massage, 15 compressions. Jin performed artificial respiration, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond. Watase just stood there in blank amazement, unable to even do a thing. Surely she's cold and dead by now. How long's she been there? 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond. It's hopeless. Yukita kneeled beside the girl and muttered that. Kazami and Jin ignored him and continued their CPR. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. She's already dead. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. You guys couldn't save her. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. And neither could I. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. Kazami didn't stop the CPR. Tachibana, it's too late. Watase's words didn't seem to register with Kazami. Eventually her watch alarm went off. Tachibana, it's time to administer the AD. Hey, you listening? Watase took out one of the AD ampules and administered it to himself. He then injected Enna and Yuri with the other 2 ampules. Yuri was so out of it she didn't even offer up one of her usual protests. Come on, Tachibana, you guys have to take some too. Kazami didn't reply, but her lips faintly moved. Nagisa, don't die. John's eyes widened at that moment. Sis? This girl isn't Nagisa. Nagisa? Confusion swept over Watase. Kazami didn't listen and continued her CPR attempts. Lieutenant, stop it already. Kazami finally stopped moving at the sound of Jun's cry. Tachibana! He couldn't say anymore. Kazami quietly turned around towards Watase and spoke. I did everything within my power. But she's dead. Kazami muttered that. Her face seemed absolutely devoid of life. The rest of the group chose that moment to speak up in terrified voices. Lieutenant Tachibana? Are you okay? I apologize for causing you all concern. I'm alright now. Her tone of voice and the look in her face were the same as always, and full of a harshness that wouldn't accept any further questions. What the hell just happened? Kazami had clearly been acting strange, but her attitude made it clear that she would reject any questions regarding the reason for her actions. However, there was one thing they all knew for sure. There's been yet another victim. The group left the room, their hearts full of melancholy. They left the girl's body where it was. No sooner had they exited than the Procyon alarm started beeping. Of course. When it rains it pours, right? The reading of the display showed 4,000 microsieverts. It appeared that the contamination had spread to the factory too, shooting the radiation levels up to the first danger standard. The whole facility should suffer the same fate if this keeps up. And that was the problem, just as grave as the body they just found. This meant that they weren't guaranteed to survive in this hellish place even with AD. Tachibana, Mortabe, old man, give yourself some AD too. I know there's a lot on your minds right now, but you have to. Yes. Let's do it, we don't want to die after all. Their lives have been extended for another hour yet, but this time, Our escape route's been cut off. At this rate, we'll need to inject ourselves with AD 5 more times. They'd already used up all the AD they had. They searched what felt like the entire facility so far, so unless they'd missed some AD somewhere, they'd all be exposed to radiation in just an hour. But in that case, does that mean we have to look through all the areas again? Search every nook and cranny in more depth than last time? He shook his head as soon as he thought that. With their one light of hope having been so cruelly snuffed out, all his fatigue was catching up to him at once. His body wasn't in perfect shape either, what with his cracked ribs and the cut on the back of his head. His eyes that had been stung by smoke so many times suddenly started hurting. Everyone's faces were equally filled with bewilderment. No one said a word. They were all just so confused about the incredibly unexpected sight they'd seen in the room. But we still have to keep searching. A voice started pouring out of Watase's PDA as he thought that.
Kasasagi, can you read me?
It was Commander Murakami again. Watase took out his PDA in shock. Loud and clear, this is Kasasagi, over.
Kasasagi, we finally got into...
There was much more static on the radio transmission than the previous ones.
Reception is extremely unstable. It's probably been the last transmission thing I need to tell.
Commander, I can't hear you.
Didn't find anyone. Can't confirm if there's a killer or not.
They couldn't tell. He was saying something like, we couldn't find anyone. They could tell he was saying something like, we couldn't find anyone with a gun. We can't confirm if there's a killer here or not. Got it, what else?
According to Rack, there aside from you, one's possibly trapped there include the dead Dojima and Iyama.
The commander desperately tried to give Watase's group the information they needed in the intervals between the loud bursts of static.
I repeat, down there are Iyama, 2 researchers.
It seemed like he was repeating the same message over and over again. The group gathered around Watase's PDA and did their best not to miss a single word, no, a single letter that he spoke.
Dojima and Iyama, 2 researchers, 3 high school students, and 2 school students, 2 girls. 5 of us work. You all 5 as we survive.
The transmission ended there. All that could be heard was white noise. Is that a list of the survivors? Watase put the PDA away. Kazami, who'd finally regained her wits, spoke up. Yes, he was probably trying to tell us who else was possibly trapped in here. What do you think he said? From what I can piece together, he said the ones trapped down here, including the dead, are Dojima, Hiyama, 2 researchers, I think. He then said 3 high school students. Wait, that wasn't all. He also said one more thing after that. I think it was 2 girls. By girls, do you think he meant... Everyone's eyes focused on Yuri all at once. I think I'm probably one of them. Figured as much, and the other one must have been that girl. Watase then got to thinking. Out of all the people the commander had said were still trapped in there, Dojima and Hiyama, the 2 researchers and one of the girls, were already dead. Apart from that, there was one other girl, Yuri, and 3 high school students. So those 3 kids really haven't escaped after all. Ina was taken aback at Watase's words. Then those kids must be lying unconscious somewhere. This is bad, we must have overlooked them. Please calm down, Miss Tsubakiyama. There's still a possibility they're moving around. Well, they're running away from us anyway. Huh? We've been moving together as much as possible, and we've been consistently searching in only one direction for the most part. That means there's enough room to assume that we merely missed each other. The group had indeed searched all the areas, including the contaminated zones, so if Kazami's theory was correct, then it made total sense why they hadn't found them yet. But still, that's all the more reason we need to look for them right away. Hold on, Teach, you still need to think some things through before we go do that. Like what? Like the situation we're in right now? Watase was talking about the cargo lift room, the room with the body. When you consider the fact that there was a mysterious girl's body right by what was supposed to be our ticket out of here, you have to ask? Just what the hell have we gotten ourselves mixed up in? There was no one who can answer that question. In the end, it was Kazami who broke the heavy silence. Let's go over what we do know. If you had to ask me, I would guess that the girl died trying to escape from here. Here's my basis for that. Kazami then took a security card out of her pocket. The name Shuya Edaguchi was on it. As for the words level N. Level N? Where the hell did you find this? It was ranked higher than the level 6 cards the group had. It was lying right next to that girl's body. She probably used this to get all the way over to the cargo lift. But what was a girl like that doing in such a high level card? Who the heck was she? Perhaps she was a family member of one of the staff here? Just like Yuri. Whatever the case, she desperately made it all the way over here, but lost all hope when she saw there was no exit and then passed away. But if that's how it went down, then who the hell broke the lift? The person who put a bullet in her, no doubt. Everyone's faces froze over at that question. Broke? That panel wasn't broken by accident. No matter how much you try to spin it, someone clearly broke that thing intentionally. Think that girl could have done it? I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's still rather implausible. But either way, what would they have to gain from doing that? The fact that it's destroyed means that whoever the culprit was is still down here. But I do not believe there is anyone who would voluntarily wish to be trapped in a place such as this. Watase didn't have a clue either. Who in their right mind would be willing to brave the risk of being trapped in this place to the point of cutting off their own escape route? But the thoughts were interrupted by Enna's subdued voice. Maybe it was the killer. The killer? Teach, what are you... I'm talking about the one who killed that girl. Whoever it was most likely the same person who killed those people in Area 3, right? Watase's mind flashed back for a second to the grotesque sight he'd witnessed in that room. Two of the corpses there had bullet wounds, just like the girl. Yeah, it is possible that the killer of those people was the one and the same. We've all been trying to ignore those three bodies up until this point, haven't we? We shoved away any discussion of it by going with the theory that the killer had escaped. We all figured that we would worry about searching for the killer after we got out of here, yes? Yes, it was your plan. You're the one who said that. You and Ukita had that argument about it after you came out of that room. And he was like, oh no, what if the killer's still here? And she was like, fuck that, he's probably already gone. So yes, that's how we approached it, because you told us to, Enna. Yes, Yazami had sternly told everyone back then when they found the bodies. But that assumption has been completely invalidated. It would appear that they could not have escaped so easily. So I'll say it again, this was no mere accident. Enna's sharp voice echoed in the silent factory. What's that supposed to mean? To see someone who's been shot to death lying next to our escape route means it's natural to assume that she was shot while trying to escape, right? A murder happened right in the basement of a facility that's currently impossible to escape from. Then it isn't possible that the killer's the one who created this. Isn't it possible the killer's the one who created this closed space? Impossible? Why would they do that? Maybe they wanted to kill someone here and therefore stayed behind so they could do it. For example, if they did it during the lockdown, then all evidence would go up with flames with the bodies. Cut it out, Teach, that's just speculation. All you can do is get people worked up over nothing. Watase finally grew sick of Enna's conspiracy theories and objected. But then Jin cut in. Hold on a sec, you guys. What? Well, I didn't think it had anything to do with all this up until now. But recently it's believed that Rokume City, the city where Lab was located, may have been invaded by terrorists. Terrorists? That sudden phrase left Watase in shock. What's the basis for that? Well, there might not be anything concrete on the matter, but there's been rumors about that floating around. There's been similar incidents happening in the city recently, and there was this other huge research facility that was bombed only yesterday. Terrorists targeting a nuclear reactor? Yeah, that would make sense. All those seemingly random explosions and fires, the sprinkler system being suspiciously offline. When you think about it, those are all clearly human acts. And if all of that were to be capped off by a nuclear reactor blowing up, that would practically be a masterpiece in terms of an act of destruction. If that theory was indeed correct, then it was no surprise that there'd be bullet holes in all those corpses. If terrorists truly are behind this, that would also explain why so many unnatural situations have kept on piling up. But Ukita scoffed. Have you people been watching one too many movies or something? Huh? Terrorists? Seriously? How preposterous. Are you not aware of how strict our security is? Facilities like this that house nuclear reactors have been granted permission to possess security measures beyond the law. We have a 24/7 security team comprised of ex-JSDF soldiers equipped with rifles and riot guns. Only in fiction could a terrorist hope to even dream of overcoming such defense. You talk a big game, but your so-called perfect disaster prevention system breaks apart if anyone so much as opens the lid on the whole damn thing. Isn't there any possibility that a terrorist could have taken advantage of a hole in that security and snuck in unnoticed? Are you sure there's no loopholes anyway? A loophole? How the hell would I know something like that? You're getting obsessed with your little theory, not thinking logically about this. Oh really? then isn't it also a fact that the mysterious girl lying in that room managed to sneak in here somehow? Face it, the defense system you put so much faith in aren't looking all that reliable at all. Are you that intent on having me take responsibility for our facility? Nikita and Nina felt like they were standing right next to a powder keg ready to explode. Please stop, Yudi timidly pleaded to them. But then someone, least expected, also spoke up. Yes, perhaps we should consider the involvement of terrorists for the time being. What? You believe it, Lieutenant? Yes, somewhat. However, the idea that a terrorist is actually here is merely a hypothesis. As I said before, I believe there's a high probability that the killer escaped before the lockdown commenced. Huh? What are your grounds for that? Because if the terrorists were trapped in here just like us, then why have we not run into them in nearly 5 hours passed since the start of the lockdown? The same reason we haven't run into Natsuhiko the entire time. If they have a gun, they could just hold us hostage and take as much AD from us as they like. And yet they've not done so. It doesn't make sense no matter what angle you think about it from. Those are my thoughts on the matter. But that person on the radio just now said that there wasn't anyone who'd escaped to the surface with a gun, right? What about that? That only holds water if they didn't simply discard their firearms somewhere. What's more, if they slipped into that huge panic that was going on before the lockdown began, they could have escaped whenever they wanted. It was a well thought out logical reasoning that befitted someone like Kazami. I think you're right. Yudi voiced her own opinion. A rather rare occurrence to say the least. Hold on a sec, Lieutenant, don't you think it's too soon to decide that? And why is that? Aren't you the one who's always telling me to always assume the worst when at work? If there's a terrorist down here with us, then we're in a whole different league of danger, right? Those are completely different matters. We're not detectives. But it's important that we consider the possibility. And what are you saying? You're implying that one of the 9 still trapped here is a terrorist? I never took you for the type who would doubt our own students. Impossible. Don't be ridiculous. No one's saying that at all. And do you mean to say there's a terrorist among the 6 of us? That's even more unlikely. If someone full of malice was amongst us, then we'd be in far worse straits than we are now. Everyone was voicing their own opinions, and Watase thought that they all had their own good points. But having this debate drag on for so long was truly getting unpleasant. Alright, let's just calm down for a minute, guys. What's your problem? You're the only one who hasn't spoken their thoughts on the matter, right? I know that, but let's all rein in our personal opinions for the time being. But before Watase could say any more, a shock ran through his head. And right after that, countless scenes flashed through his brain. What? Watase was confused by this random phenomenon. The events of the last few hours flashed before him. Everything from when he'd woken up in Area 1 to arriving in Area 6. It all streamed past his eyes like a muddy stream for some reason. And then disappeared. Hey, what's the sudden silent treatment? Ina and the others were staring at Watase with wide eyes. But he was so surprised that he was at a complete loss for words. What the hell was that? It's clearly bizarre. It wasn't like he'd been reflecting on his memories. No, this is totally different. He remembered everything that had happened up to this point in a second. And in such minute detail at that. And at that exact moment, he made several connections about a few things he'd observed up until now. Wait a minute. Let's say there is a terrorist down here. Which one of the 9 trapped in this facility would be the most likely suspect? Suspicion started flaring up in Watase's heart. They swiftly grew bigger. He said that Labo's security is so strict that no terrorist could ever sneak in. But the old man's a staff member here. It'd be easy for him to let a terrorist in. What are the odds that this loophole in security Teach was talking about could be Old Man Ukita? No, wait, it's not restricted to the old man. Maybe it was one of the other researchers who was already evacuated. Those doubts begot even more doubts. No, what if it's the other way around? What are the odds that the teacher's a terrorist? Now that I think about it, her reason for being here is flimsy to begin with. We have no clue if she really was summoned here by a staffer. But Watase immediately denied those suspicions. Ina was a normal teacher no matter what angle you viewed her from. There was nothing about her that seemed remotely like a terrorist, apart from the fact that she can be a dick sometimes. What about Tachibana and Motobe? There's nothing strange about anything they've said and done. They've always acted in the interest of everyone's safety. I'm sure I can trust them. In fact, isn't the reason that the lockdown is still going on is the one thing that's fishy here? Is it really because of the radiation leakage control system? His doubts just kept summoning more doubt. But something was bizarre. Putting aside the images he's seen, and the chain of his rising doubt, it feels like someone is commanding me to recall everything you've seen so far, and think about the path that has led you to this point. But who? Could that someone be? Watase looked over everyone's faces. He was still just perplexed about the phenomenon as he had been from the start. He glanced at Kazami, Jun, Ukita, Ena, and then... Yuri? It was then he noticed it. Yuri was gone. Yuri's gone. Watase's surprised declaration sent everyone turning around. You're right, but why? Don't tell me she ran off again. Miss Yuri? Kazami frantically looked around. Watase also turned around and saw the Area 5 gate open with Yuri running through it. Found her. She's heading for Area 5. No way, how'd she get the gate open? Was she hiding a security card on her? Enough talk, let's go after her. Indeed. The group all broke off into a dash at once. Area 5 outer ring, B2. Kazami spoke up to the rest of the group as soon as they'd all ran in here. It's possible that we'll also get separated. Gather in the neuroscience laboratory in 10 minutes, whether you find her or not. Watase checked the time on his watch and said 12:31 PM. Got it. The group all gave similar answers and split up. Kazami and Jun kept going straight towards Area 4. They probably planned to seal off the other exits before Yuri could flee to another area. Ena and Ukita checked all the nearby rooms, and so Watase headed for the inner ring. I don't think Mortabe ever told Yuri about the inner ring, that the inner ring was a contaminated zone. If she ran there, then that means... Watase's thoughts were interrupted by a voice echoing in his head. Go save her. It was the first time in a while he'd heard that auditory hallucination. Watase headed to the contaminated zone as if guided by the voice. He ran through the connecting passageway and plunged straight into the inner ring. His Procyon's alarm immediately started beeping. The indicator read 9,355 microsieverts, but he ignored it and started shouting, Yuri, where are you? Yuri? He checked every single room in his search, but Yuri was nowhere to be seen. To be safe, Watase went in to check the elevator hall. And that's where he found her. Yuri? Upon hearing Watase's shout, Yuri twitched with a start and turned around. Ah, so you really did come after me? What do you mean you really did come after me? Of course I did. Anyway, this place is dangerous. It's a contaminated zone. A troubled smile rose to Yuri's face at those words. I see, and yet you came running through it just for me. Yuri? Yuri paid no heed to Watase's confusion and looked him dead in the eye. You're always worrying about me like this, aren't you? But then why? Why did you do something so horrible to me back then? What? Watase gasped. He had no recollection of ever doing anything of the sort. What do you mean by something so horrible? You really not remember? Her voice was filled with some unknown emotion. A minute later and I would have died. A mixture of confusion and terror. I was really scared when I found myself trapped all alone in that sea of flames. The words were shaking Watase up. And yet you were the one who also saved me. Watase felt something new gripping his heart. What are you trying to do? An intense fear. Yuri, what are you talking about? Oh my god, we're the terrorists. He somehow knew that Yuri was about to reveal something truly horrifying. Something he didn't know. No, something he shouldn't know. But Yuri shook her head. If you don't know, then I don't know either. I don't know what to believe anymore. Yuri quietly walked over to him. So Captain Kasasagi, please. Please let me know your mind. Yuri said that and turned her palm towards Watase. Only for a bizarre scene to play back through his head. What? It was a memory he had no recollection of. Something was grabbing his wrist. And then laughed ominously. The man spotted a broken wristwatch out of the corner of his eye. And a second later, he was assaulted by an intense pain akin to his brain being crushed. I remember that. Something else was also welling up inside Watase. It was unmistakably fear. And Watase felt that very same emotion towards the girl standing right before him. Watase immediately ran out of the elevator hall. Once he shut the door, he suddenly came to his senses. Shit, what the hell am I doing? Why do I need to run from Yuri? She's Yuri, she's not a monster. Just as he thought that, a sharp pain shot through his head. Watase held his head and screamed. The scream echoed in his skull, jumbling his thoughts into disorder. What the hell is this? I've never felt anything like this until now. Is this radiation damage? Is it because I've been into contaminated zones several times? He had a horrible headache, like something that was piercing through his head and scrambled his brain, The pain spread to his whole body, and his stomach felt like it was being stretched out. Yeah. Watase threw up. There was nothing in his stomach, so all that came out was stomach acid mixed with blood that splattered all over the hallway. His consciousness was fading away quickly. My memories were shattered back then, and my past self's memories might... Gah! Watase screamed again and forced his consciousness to stay where it was. His memories had been muddled by that intense headache. He looked down to find there was a red vomit at his feet. What just happened to me? What was I doing? He shuffled through his memories and quickly remembered he'd been searching for Yuri. Damn it, if I suffered this much damage from the radiation, then Yuri's in danger. That frail girl could never survive in such a dangerous place. The only thing Watase felt was concern for her. It felt like he'd been feeling some other sort of emotion for her, but whatever it was, it completely vanished. Watase spat out the disgusting taste filling his mouth. He then ran back to the elevator hall. But Yuri was no longer there. There was nowhere to run from the elevator hall, so where had she gone? Did she climb the ladder back to up to B1? Watase opened the elevator doors with that thought. The elevator car was still up on the surface floors, just as it had been earlier. Watase climbed up the ladder through the darkness. But when he got to B1, Yuri was still nowhere to be found. Alright, we're gonna wrap this one up here. Oh my god, I feel like Watase was the terrorist. But after he lost his memories, obviously, he doesn't know that anymore. But I guess we'll figure that out. Did he settle this fire and that's why she's scared of him to begin with? And doesn't understand why he's trying to save her now? I don't know, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.